Lab Coat, the podcast that undresses scientists. I'm Elodie Chabrol and I can't wait to take you with me to meet the humans behind the research. We will of course talk a little bit about science, but we will mostly talk about them. Welcome for this new episode of Under the Lab Coat. Today I have the pleasure to welcome Fernando Garcia, agronomist that we also can call Dr. Banana. Hi, Fernando.
Hello, Elodie, and thank you for inviting me.
I'm really happy to have you as a guest because it's been quite a long time that I follow you on Twitter and
Yeah,
I'm really interested in everything you're going to tell us today. So I said Dr. Banana and agronomist. So what are you research on?
yeah, indeed. My name is Fernando. I'm from Colombia, first of all, and
Yeah.
I've been a scientist for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
8 of those years I work in coffee research, but
Okay.
then I shift to banana.
Okay, you're
And
going to
since,
explain the whole background later.
yeah,
We're going to know everything. Yes.
exactly. So I'm working on banana since 2012, and currently I'm leading the breeding program on banana at
Yeah.
Kijin,
Yeah.
which we focus on developing new varieties of banana.
So when we follow you on Twitter and Instagram, your lab is basically like a growing place of banana. You're with like banana trees all the time.
Yes. So I actually have a very interesting job because I have three places to work. I work on my office 30% of the time, another
Yeah.
30% of the time in the lab, in the
Yeah.
real lab, and the rest is in the greenhouse. So it's a very nice job, actually.
So what do you do in those three different parts? So when you say improve banana breeding, what is it exactly that you're doing?
Yeah. So I don't know, probably you heard about the very important disease that is spreading, and basically it's killing bananas.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we don't have any replacement for the current banana. And
Okay.
the banana we eat at the moment is the same everywhere. So it's
Okay.
genetically identical. That means that
Oh.
one disease can kill everything. And that's
Okay.
happening. And that already happened before with a different type of banana. So the story it repeats. This disease is killing bananas. So apart from understanding the disease as a whole, we are trying to develop new bananas that are resistant to that disease. So
Okay.
my work in three different environments is different, but towards the same goal, which is bringing new diversity, new bananas that can be resistant to that disease. So in the computer, for example, I check together with my colleagues, of course, analysis of the sequences of DNA,
Yeah.
developing markers, making selection of the plants. In the lab, we extract the seeds of the bananas,
Yeah.
we grow the plants in tissue culture labs. We perform studies, so we inoculate bananas with the disease to
Yeah.
identify resistant bananas. And in the greenhouse, what we do is to actually create new bananas. So we do it
Wow.
free of GM. So we don't do
Yeah.
GM bananas. We do it in the old school. So we use the
Yeah.
pollen of the
Okay.
bananas to create new bananas.
Wow, this is amazing. And I didn't know we had the same bananas everywhere.
I'm not telling that in every place of the world is just one. Actually, we have more than 1,200 different types of bananas. But the
Okay.
banana that is used in the international market is one,
Yeah.
and it's called the Cavendish. So the same
Okay.
banana you find in the supermarkets in France are the
Yeah.
same bananas that we find here in the Netherlands, and the same that are found in Japan is just
Okay.
one.
Wow. Okay, okay. So it's important. And the disease is the Panama disease, right?
Exactly. That's
Okay.
the unofficial name of the disease. People from Panama are not very happy that the
Yeah, I
disease is
can
called
imagine.
Panama disease, but because of the impact of the first version of the disease, the impact that caused in Panama, that's why it was called the Panama. It was called the Panama disease. The official name of the disease is Fusarium wilt, and it's called Fusarium wilt because it caused the wilting of the plant, and
Okay.
the pathogen, so the agent that caused the disease is called Fusarium.
Wow,
Yeah,
this is really interesting. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to put, you have few links where you explain your research as well.
yeah,
So I'm going to put your social media in description of this podcast. And also, I think you talked in a Forbes article
yeah,
about the disease and everything. So I'm going to put all that. So if people want to know more about
yeah,
your research and all that, they can go and have a read and follow you as well to see everything that you
yeah.
do.
Super.
So now my burning question is always, do you wear a lab coat in the lab?
I wear a lab coat always, and I really recommend people to do it because it's not just a matter of passion.
Yeah,
The lab coats have a purpose and it's protection, and you cannot imagine the amount of accidents that I've seen in these 20 years of experience working
yeah,
in the lab. And also when people say, for example, don't wear shorts or don't
yeah,
wear
yeah,
open shoes, it's real. It's real.
yeah.
So I like lab coats. I really enjoy wearing them. And the place where I work, we have different colors of lab coats in every lab. So that's very cool.
Nice.
I love it. And in the greenhouse, it's less dangerous in terms of chemicals, but the bananas produce a lot of a substance that destroys the clothes, stain the
Okay,
clothes.
so
So I
it's
use it
okay.
mostly for that reason.
Yeah, I was wondering if you have the same lab coats as well for the greenhouse.
In the greenhouse, we use disposable lab coats because it's very dirty, of course, always. So we just no, we
Okay.
don't reduce also to prevent diseases and these kind of things.
And I think I've seen you on social media with some kind of yellow lab coat.
Yes,
No?
also yellow lab coats and pink lab coats, all kind of lab coats. Depends on
That's
the
really
place
cool.
where we are. We have different
Yeah.
colors.
Okay, that's really cool. You also have a crazy collection of banana stuff in the lab, and if people follow you on social media, they can see that, and I
Yes.
find it really, really, really cool. Okay, so thank you for explaining your research and to tell me about the lab coats. Now we're going to remove it to talk about you and how did you end up doing that kind of research. So,
Mhm.
what did you want to do as a kid?
It's a very interesting question in the right moment because now we are in the news because we were able to create the first resistant prototype
Yeah,
of the banana. So for the
yeah,
first time, so we are in the news in many journals now. And I posted on my social media and my Facebook. And one friend told me, I remember when we were in the school that you wanted to be a director of films and TV. And it's true. So when I was younger, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to study arts and mostly like movies, TV, being a
yeah,
director. That's what I wanted. But I'm from Colombia. At that time was difficult. I was not from let's say a rich family or something. So
yeah.
you have to find something that will give you a good job. That's what we
Okay,
are
yeah,
told when we are little, right? At that moment, I love plants. I love insects. I love diseases of the plants. Since I
yeah.
remember that because I'm from a countryside, so I live in a
Okay,
farm and I really like those things.
yeah.
And in the university of my city, one of the most important careers is the agronomy. And
Okay,
I have a uncle that was a successful plant breeder, like what I'm now,
yeah.
and he was kind of an inspiration because mostly because he traveled a lot. He travels a lot, and I love to see him sometimes in the TV explaining about his plants, and that was an inspiration for me. And it's funny because now I'm doing the same. But at
Yeah.
that time, I didn't really thought that I would become an agronomist. So
Okay.
at some point, I decided to go in that
Yeah.
specialization, and I love it. I just love everything about this career. I love the plants, the diseases, insects, soil. You learn a lot, and then I fall in love with this. Is really amazing, and but that never stopped me to like accomplish that dream of making TV or cinema. And that's why
Yeah.
you've seen that I'm making a lot of videos and I
Yeah.
became a science communicator mostly because
Yeah.
I love that also. So I combine these two things.
Yeah. We're going to talk about science communication a bit later.
Yeah.
What did your uncle breed? So you say, or is your
Yeah.
uncle breeding? What is he breeding?
He's retired now, but
Yeah.
he was working on oil palm.
Okay.
So he was making better palms that are resistant to diseases. Uh,
Okay.
that are more sustainable so that you don't need to
Yeah.
apply lots of chemicals because the plants are resistant to diseases. So that
Okay.
was what he was doing at the time.
And you were good in science already in high school? It was something you enjoyed?
I was very good at science because I was really passionate about what I was doing, but I was very
Yeah.
bad for many of the signatures. So I lost chemistry, I
Yeah.
lost mathematics, I failed in all these things in the first because I also came from a school that was not that good. So
Okay.
when I moved to the university, for me it was really hard because
Okay.
my colleagues were very good at all these things, but for me it was really difficult. So I failed in many of those, and unfortunately, my university only offers those classes
Yeah.
every year, so it was yearly. So I lose
Okay.
1 year of my life
So
waiting
you had
for the. I had to
okay, so
repeat
you
that.
had to redo. Okay, you had to redo
Yes,
the first year.
yes. So of course,
Okay.
it was I was a disappointment for my family, for my mother especially, because even though it was a cheap university, still a very good university. But I was thinking to retire,
Okay.
but I had to repeat that during the summer classes or no
Yeah.
holidays. But then, I focus and I think that I said like, I really love this. And, the first semesters on this career is just the basics. It's mathematics,
Yeah.
chemistry. So nothing about what you are really going to do in the future.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
moment I passed the first 2 years, I started to receive the lessons of things that I like botanic,
Yeah. Yeah.
diseases, and that was really for me was the best. I enjoyed that, and when you love things, you learn faster, and
Yes.
you make more of yourself to take advantage of that. So I was very happy to, and then during that period, being an agronomist in Colombia opens the doors for you. So you can be
Okay.
a lot of things. You can be a professor, you can
Yeah.
be businessman in that area,
Yeah.
but I wanted to be a scientist. So
Okay.
I decided during my studies that I wanted to be a scientist because I really
Okay.
liked it, that part.
And this is when you decided to do a PhD?
And no, I mean, yes, I decided that if I wanted to be a scientist, I had to continue with my studies.
Yeah.
But when I finished the bachelor, I went to work directly in a
Okay.
company of coffee research.
Okay.
I went for my internship, but then I was hired,
Okay.
and then I continued. I worked like for probably 5 years just with my bachelor degree there. But
Okay.
of course, if I wanted to grow in the company and
Yeah.
become a really scientist, I had to start publishing papers
Yeah.
and teaching. So I decided to do
Go back.
a
Okay.
master. And then when I finished my master's, I feel that I had to do the PhD, but I had to do it abroad. So I was that time in Colombia and I started looking. Of course, I wanted to continue on coffee at that time,
Yeah.
but it was difficult, destiny.
Yeah.
And then I ended up in the Netherlands doing a PhD on banana and fusarium. And I stayed.
Okay, you answered two of my questions that I was about to ask. That were when did you move from Colombia to the Netherlands,
Hmm.
and how did you switch from coffee to banana? So it's
Yeah.
you answered it.
Okay.
Why coffee at the beginning? Was it something you really liked, or was it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. When you talk about Colombia, there
yeah,
are many
coffee.
negative things that come to most people, but also in the positive side is always coffee. So the best
Yeah,
coffee, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if we have the best coffee, but we have a very good coffee.
yeah,
And I love coffee because I told you at the beginning that I was from the countryside and the
yeah.
farm of my grandmother had coffee and bananas.
Okay,
But coffee was like my first love, I always say, and I
yeah,
really wanted to work on coffee. So
okay,
that's why I moved to this. It's called Seni Cafe, is the research center of coffee in Colombia,
yeah,
and that was the place I wanted to be. So that
okay,
was like
amazing.
my
First love.
first big success, although it was
Yeah,
super difficult. But I managed to go there, and it's like school for scientists in Colombia. It's
yeah.
really good quality of research, and I love coffee. And I was doing the same thing that I'm doing now on banana, but on coffee. So I was trying to improve the coffee to make it better. Yeah,
Okay,
that's why.
so coffee, then you switch to banana. Now you're completely Dr. Banana.
Yes, indeed.
So it's funny in a way because in your farm when you were a kid, you had coffee and banana, and it's
Yes,
exactly what you worked on. So
exactly. It's a
It's
coincidence. It's
y-
something I always say that I'm very lucky, but my mother always said that I'm very lucky because of all the things that I achieved. But sometimes I give her like, give me a little bit of credit. It's not
yeah,
just luck. It's you also dream for things, but if you dream for something, you have to actually do something. You
yeah,
have to try to. If I would not, I wouldn't like do all the things that I did to go to coffee. The story would be very different because going to this place of coffee, it took me a lot of effort and time.
yeah.
And I was in the moment that I was already like planning to go to work with my uncle. Remember, I
Okay.
told you so
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that was the easiest way because he had already let's say a name, a
Mm-hmm.
position, and I'm almost sure that he would have been happy to tell me like come here and work with me. And
Yeah,
but that was something I didn't want because I wanted to be successful by my own means
yeah,
and
yeah.
especially in different crops. I was not very familiar with the oil palm and I
Okay.
really liked coffee, so I wanted to work with coffee, and that gave me the jump to what I'm doing now in banana.
So, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes,
Of
it's
course. And are you a banana eater?
that's don't tell anybody, but I don't eat too many bananas.
Really?
No,
Well, that's the thing. I'm always wondering because when you see people working with things that you eat, like, people that work with chocolates, I'm
yes,
always like, people say, oh, it's the dream job. And I'm like, probably not, because at one point you're a bit tired of it because it's
yes,
there all the time. So you probably want something else.
yes, indeed, yeah. And there's for coffee, I drink a lot of coffee, and I was happy to be there because we had coffee all the time.
Oh
But
my God.
with
Yeah.
bananas, I think is I like them, but bananas like the typical banana is not my favorite. Also,
Okay.
I know the importance of the banana, and I love what I'm doing. I prefer
Yeah.
the cooking type of bananas, which are
Okay.
staple food in many countries. So I really love that.
Like the plantain one or?
Exactly, exactly. The plantain.
Okay. Yeah, the plantain are like bigger. So what's the
Yes.
difference really?
The difference is very big. I'm not going to explain that because it's genetics, but it has to be with the genomes. It's different. It's not a different species, but it's
Okay.
very different genetically. So what we call the banana,
Okay.
the one you find in the supermarket, it's called usually the dessert
Yeah.
banana because you eat it raw. But the plantains, you have to
Mm-hmm.
cook them.
Yeah.
So cook,
Yeah.
fry, or whatever. So it's more starchy.
To cook
It's
it.
impossible to
Yeah.
eat it raw. You treat it as more or less as a potato. So that's the way.
Yeah, because I've tried
No, no,
a raw
it's
one.
impossible.
And
No.
I can attest it's not a good idea. Yeah, and they
Yes.
are bigger. They are, yeah, starchy, exactly. They
Yes,
are like
exactly.
the, yeah, potato type of banana. So
Hmm.
definitely they need cooking to be edible. Okay, well, this is fascinating. So now you're doing research, you're working on banana. How long have you been working on bananas?
I'm working in banana since 2012. So it's already more
Okay,
than 10 years almost. Yeah.
amazing. Do you still love it?
I still love it because, as I said, is very dynamic. My work is not just not
Yeah,
it's not very boring. Like it's not repetitive. It's always
yeah.
a new challenge, and I'm happy because now I'm actually leading the group. So I have a lot of resources and people to work. I feel very happy with this job actually.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a bit jealous when I see in your greenhouse. I'm like, if in the lab I could have been in the plants all day, like, it's very
Yes.
nice. Except I would have killed all the plants because I'm not really good at
No.
it. But yeah, which is actually a good transition because I wanted to talk about the things you do on the side. So
Hmm.
you talked a bit about the science communication. We're gonna go back to that. But you love plants. I follow you on social media. You try lots of different things at home as well.
Yes. Yes. I always my wife always says that my hobby is just to get into new hobbies, and it's true. So I really spend a lot of time, and I all the things I do it intensively and really and seriously. So I love
Yeah,
bonsai. It's something I've been doing
yeah,
since 2000, more or less. I'm also love
yeah.
I
Wow.
love toys. So I collect
Okay.
toys since I'm little. So I last year I managed to bring all my collection to the Netherlands from Colombia. It was in a box for more
Wow.
than 10 years in my mother's house.
Yeah.
I managed to
What kind of toys?
all kind of like, you know, toys. People call them toys. I call them
Okay.
toys, but we call them actually action figures. So for movies, those kind
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
It-
Like Avengers,
yes,
I think
all
I've
these.
seen something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
big
Okay.
collection of that.
Okay.
I like cooking and I like to learn about cooking. And I love drawing.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
additionally, I also do science communication as a hobby. But, you know, I've been thinking like, what is my real hobby? And I think my real hobby is actually to communicate because something that connects all these hobbies is that always film. I always film these
Yeah.
kind of things and I try to
True.
not just show what I have or what I do, but it's like teaching because I know that there is people interested
Yeah.
in all these hobbies also. And let's say in some things I know a little bit more. So I try to teach like
Yeah.
how to do bonsai and making reviews of my toys. So that's actually something that makes me happy. So I've been thinking and I said my real hobby is actually to make videos.
So we're going back to what you wanted to do as a kid,
Exactly. I
kind
think
of.
so. I think so. It's and this came with the first question that you made because it's and what I told you about my Facebook that one of my colleagues from the high school told
Yeah.
me, and I have forgotten about that. I forgot that I
Oh,
really
really?
wanted
Yeah.
to, and he was very specific in that comment in Facebook. He said like, I remember very clear when you make a movie about one of our colleagues and you film and you make it like in one day. And I was like, true, I forgot I did these kind of things. So, but of course, before and in those times, we didn't have a digital cameras like now. We
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the ones with the cassette, and of course
Yes. Oh my
was
God.
more difficult.
Yeah.
But I hope I at some point I would like to do something like a like a documentary about bananas. So
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
learning
So if
now.
someone hears
Yeah,
us,
please,
yeah,
please.
if you're hearing us and you want to do a documentary about
Yes,
bananas,
please.
definitely. Yeah. So science communication, you have a TikTok account?
I have a TikTok, but I'm not using it for science communication. I use the TikTok for my
Okay.
more fresh material, like the toys and these kind of things.
Okay. You have Instagram?
But on Instagram
Yeah.
and on YouTube, I do more science communication.
Okay.
A little bit more serious. But I always say, it's different from most science communicators in there because some science communicators become like influencers. But
Yeah.
before I became a science communicator, I already made videos about other things. And then
Yeah.
at some point in my life, especially when I came to the Netherlands, I noticed that here in the Netherlands, those kind of things are appreciated. In my
Hmm.
country, it was not. So
Yeah.
being a communicator was waste your time or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I stopped for many years, but when I came to the Netherlands, they actually encouraged me to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have a talent, please
Yeah.
do it. So I had the
Nice.
talent for filming, to editing, and then if you see my material from 10 years ago, is everything about toys and reviews and things. But at some point, I said, like, okay, I'm going to mix. So I use science now and
Yeah.
to communicate what I'm doing and also sharing information from others also to help them.
It's really fantastic. And actually, so you said you were drawing. You have an account for that. It's Banana Toons, right?
Yes,
You
exactly.
were drawing science communicators or scientists at one point?
Yes. At some point during pandemic, I had more time, of course, and I had a tablet and I started drawing colleagues that
Yeah.
were on Twitter, and it was a very nice year. I drew like more than I would say like 400
Wow.
portraits of fellow people.
Yeah.
Yes, it
So
was
I'm
great.
going to put the link of that. And I have a question. How many
Yeah,
bonsais do you have?
I don't know how many bonsai like because bonsai is a very specific type of thing. But let's
Yeah.
say between plants and pre bonsai and bonsai, I have more than 200
Wow. In your house.
in my house. But that's the advantage of having bonsai that you don't need a lot of space
Yeah, exactly.
because if you ask a lot of people who love plants, they say like I have 200 plants, but in the whole house, so I have
Yeah.
just a little corner in my house and I
Yeah.
have all my bonsai there.
It's what I like seeing actually on social media. You like to make really weird bonsais.
Yes,
So
yes,
what's the weirdest you've made?
because I'm very late. So I started in 2000
Yeah.
in Colombia. So
Yeah.
I don't have any of those materials here. So I
Yeah.
started in the Netherlands again.
Yeah.
if you want a nice bonsai, you need to wait for 30, 15 years.
Yeah.
So to start having something while the real ones grow, I
Yeah.
started with what I call unusual bonsai.
Okay.
So I do bonsais of everything. So the
Yeah.
weirdest thing I see is a potato.
Oh,
So a
okay.
bonsai, a potato. But of course, the banana bonsai is also very weird.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have one. I have strawberry. I have potato, mangoes, all this
Okay.
kind of everything that falls in my hands. I try to. I call it bonsify.
Yeah, you're trying. So every seed you have, you're trying to plant it, right? Because I
Yes.
sent you baobab seeds, and I think
Yes.
you've
And
made a
it's
bonsai out of it, actually.
yes, it's still growing and it's
Yeah.
very pretty. Yes. I'll send you a picture so you can
Yes.
you can see it.
One thing as well, I don't know if you're still doing it, but you are carving avocado nuts, right?
Yes. Yes.
Do we say
Yes.
nuts
That's
or
that's 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 part of
seed?
the unusual bonsai. So
Yeah.
I do so my Habo bonsai
Yeah.
are also additionally carved in the seeds.
And it's
So
really beautiful. So
it is.
go
It
and have a
is.
look. It's on Instagram. I think you
Yeah.
can see.
In
Yeah.
Instagram I have some
So
there.
go and check on Instagram because it's really pretty, and we can see you have a talent for drawing because definitely on the, it's not just like very basic one. It's very
Yes.
pretty, pretty avocado ones, and science communicator. So what is the next thing you would love to do in science communication? You said a documentary about bananas.
Yes. So it's you know everyone can do science communication at different levels. So it's
Hmm.
with one picture, with a video or something. My plan for next year is hopefully if I find like support, I would like to do a documentary about banana.
Yeah.
But I'm also planning on writing a book.
Oh, nice.
I
Okay.
cannot tell you too many details, but
No.
I'm planning to make to write a book together with many people on social media.
Okay.
And that's my next big project, let's say, for science communication. And it will be, of course, about bananas, but
Yeah.
also the different uses that we give to banana.
So definitely, please follow Fernando on social media. If you want to know the rest of the story and see
Yeah,
everything. So hobbies, it feels like hobbies are a lot about bananas and plants and everything. No, action
yeah,
figures actually. That's a different one. Do you have
that's a different
other
one.
hobbies that are outside of science?
Well, apart from the bonsai, the plants, I like cooking a lot.
Yeah.
I I'm planning also on in this kind because my content is very how can I say it special because I do science communication, but I always try to mix with
Yeah.
my other hobbies. So what I'm trying to do now is at least I, I will say every time, one time per week or every 2 weeks. What I want to do now is to cook something with bananas.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So different things from
Yeah.
different parts of the world, and
Yeah.
that's my plan. So of course I need
Oh,
some time, but
yes.
I have already the list of things that I want to do. So I cannot promise that every week, but at least every 2, 3 weeks, I'm planning to post one video on cooking with bananas.
Okay. Can't wait.
So the thing is that I'm going to cook something, but I'm also going to explain. And for example, if I'm
Yes.
going to cook with plantains, I will explain the genetics behind this.
Okay. Amazing.
That's
That's
my strategy, and that's how it's been working for the last year. So I'm trying to target to people without scientific background.
mhm. Yeah.
And everyone loves art in
Yeah.
different ways,
Yeah.
pictures, drawings. So
Yeah.
if I manage to engage with them with these strategies, they will be curious about what I'm doing and about science. Many people say, like, I didn't know that there were so many varieties of bananas, or I didn't know that the plantains are so different
Yeah. Yeah.
to other bananas. So that's my way to communicate science. It's different.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think it's the first time, because I've seen a lot of science communication, but with cooking, I think it's the first time I hear that. So I'm super interested.
Nice.
And
Yes.
yeah, so you have a follower already, and I can't wait to see all
Very
the
good.
videos. But it's important, as you said. People like art, but they like all the different things, and I think that's the beauty of science communication lately, is that we
Yeah.
realize that it's not just by writing blogs or writing books.
Yes.
It's like trying to attract people with lots of different subjects and interests that you can actually put a bit of science in it. So for you, it's like, let's cook banana and put a bit of science
Yes.
in the
Indeed.
cooking. And I find it
Indeed.
fascinating. So I really can't wait to watch the videos and to try the recipes maybe as well.
Yeah, indeed. That's my
And
plan.
Yeah, this is a really really good plan. And if you want to do, so you want to do the documentary, would you also be filming? Do you want to be filming it?
Um,
Ideally.
no, ideally yes, but of course I don't have all the tools to do it. I have just
Hmm.
a standard camera,
Yeah.
so if somebody wants to help with that, I'm very open because I have good ideas, and I'm really looking for collaboration for these kind of things.
Okay. Okay. So I
So
hope
if
he notes.
somebody
Yeah.
listen to this podcast and we have a suggestion or wants to collaborate, please.
Okay, I will put all the links to follow you and contact you anyway. So if you want to do a documentary on bananas, you know where to go and where to look for.
Yes.
We are already almost at the end of this podcast, so it's gone really fast. It's so fascinating, and
Yes.
it's also making me a bit hungry, to be honest. But before we finish, I would like to know if there is something maybe we didn't talk about or we talked about quickly and you want to end the podcast with, if you have a message to finish the podcast.
I'm talking about bananas. I can talk hours of that. And we, of course, we don't want to make it too long, but something that I was thinking is that what you mentioned just early is very important, that it doesn't matter the strategy you use to communicate your science or your work.
Yeah.
You can do it by using different strategies. People love art, and that's
Hmm.
why I do it like that.
Hmm.
People like fun stuff. When I was in Colombia working on coffee, because I was already a YouTuber at the time, I
Okay.
started to communicate things on coffee, but I used like the typical kind of post, a graph with the statistics, and
Yeah.
zero views, nobody was interested. And at most, the people who also work in coffee will see it.
Yeah.
And I realized at that moment that scientists of our peers, they don't need, I mean, they don't, it's not that they don't need it, but they don't need people to tell them about science, because we as scientists, we have access to this
Yeah.
information and we
Yeah.
know where to look for it. But people who are not in the world of science without any scientific background, they need us to build this bridge and
Yeah.
to communicate what we are doing in a very simple way. And there is with this very famous phrase among the world of scientists that says that you have to explain your research
Yeah.
as if you are explaining it to your grandma,
Yeah.
and your grandma has to understand. So that's the moment when I realized that this is the way. And when I noticed that people like my grandma understand what I'm doing easily, that was a complete game changer in my social media, because I had like 2 followers. And suddenly when I started to post things using humor, using art,
Yeah.
it was a boom. So grow, 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 and people like it. Probably some people don't like it, but they will like the next one.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good strategy to make it as easy as possible and
Yeah.
make it fun, always
Accessible.
accessible. And
Exactly.
also something that is happening now is that many people also feel forced to do science communication or
Mm.
to, and it's not necessary. So if you don't feel like
Yeah.
you want to do it, you don't need to do it. So
Yeah.
this is not for everyone, and just feel free to do it only if you like it. That's my
Yeah.
advice,
And
because
enjoy it. Yeah.
I feel, and I get many messages that say like, I feel that every scientist now is in social media and telling what they're doing. And I feel the pressure. I feel anxious because I'm not very good at this, or I don't like it.
Yeah.
I feel like, we don't need to do it. We are already doing a lot working on
Mm-mm.
science. So just relax, enjoy. And if you feel that you want to do it, I can help you. But that is not your duty to do it in
Yeah.
that way.
Well, the thing is, grants now, they are asking, so financials, they are asking to do science communication, but you
Yeah.
don't have always, as a person, to do science communication. You need
Exactly.
your project to be
No.
communicated. So you can find ways. And actually,
Yes.
if there is a bit of money, you can find professionals that
Indeed.
are doing it, actually. You know what? I think if you feel like doing science communication in a way, you should follow your heart, because it's what
Yes.
we did with Pint of Science. And when we created it, I went to discuss with one guy that was doing public engagement in London that was very big in science communication.
Mhm.
And he told me it was the worst idea ever and it would never work. I
Mhm.
left that meeting crying. I never said anything to the team until the festival because I didn't want to kill the mood. And it
Of
worked
course.
really well and it was a success. And now it's in so many countries and it's such a success. And I told them after the festival when we succeeded, you know.
Yes,
And I think it's just some people are ready to receive what you have to share, the way you have to share it. Sometimes
indeed.
some people are not, some people might be jealous as well.
Yes,
But I think if you believe in your heart that it's a nice way, you're probably going to find people as well that are
yeah,
going to like it. You know, you can also try different ways and see what fits you best and what works the best for the people you want to share it with. But I think before it was really like formal science, you know, like you were
yes,
communicating in a very formal way, a bit boring. And now you
yeah,
have so many ways to share science. And also, if you're listening, you're not scientists. If you love science, you have lots of different ways to see science, you know. And now I hope I'm going to count one more soon with the cooking, the science of cooking bananas.
yes,
But yeah, you have so many ways. And I think if you're a scientist and you want to do science communication, I think enjoying it is a big part of it because
yes,
it also feels, you know, when you're enjoying it, when you do something you really want to do, it really feels when you're in the public that that person is enjoying it and it's very nice.
exactly. I agree completely.
Perfect. I love finishing on science communication, this podcast.
Yes, me too.
Thank you very much. So, again, I said it already, but I'm going to put lots of links of all the stuff you do, the communications you've done as well in the description. So, if you want to know more about the research or about if you want to follow YouTube and everywhere, Fernando, we can follow you everywhere and see the next stories that you're going to do. Thank you very much for sharing everything with us. It was amazing.
Well, thank you to you. It was really, really a pleasure to talk to you. And finally, we have this communication. We've been following each other for a long time, and
Yes, yes.
finally, we have the chance to talk.
Yes, exactly. It was really great to talk to you and thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
That's it for this episode of Under the Lab Coat. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't hesitate to rate the podcast on the platforms, to share it around, and to subscribe. Thank you!